everyone, it's Michelle and welcome back to the Royal Daily Tea. So we have a little bit of housekeeping before we get into the Royal Daily Tea. So on my last video where I talked about Meghan Markle promoting her affiliation with the Clever coffee brand, I had filmed that video a day before all of the news came out in regards to the fact that coffee was cited for having lead in it. They had questionable sourcing of their ingredients, and there was quite a bit of controversy regarding that coffee brand, not to mention it is not a woman-owned brand. In fact, it is a woman and a man. Now, I appreciate your comments and feedback, but I hope you do understand I had filmed that video a solid day before all that information came out and released it a day later. Sometimes, guys, I cannot get the news out fast enough as it is constantly changing. Now, I did not say I support the brand. My point was that they were trying to build up Meghan Markle with some positive puff pieces and turning her into America's sweetheart. That was literally the point I was making. But you guys have a lot of strong opinions and emotions. I do appreciate your feedback, but please give me a little bit of a break when it comes to the royal news. I'm not an expert. I'm a novice just like you, and there's so much news and information that comes out. It's a full-time job keeping up with it. So I hope you guys understand and cut me a little bit of slack, guys, in the comments. But we have a lot of exciting news here on the channel. We have a future guest who might be appearing on this channel next Friday, and you guys are going to be so excited. So stay tuned for that big announcement. But we have a lot of juicy royalty to get through today, so you know what to do. Sit back and relax, grab yourself a beverage, and let's get into the Royal Daily Tea. So if you're not aware, we are officially in the 3-year anniversary of Megxit. It was March of 2020 where Harry and Meghan were free in the palace on that freedom tour, on that freedom private jet from Tyler Perry, escaping the evil, racist, institutional monarchy. And they were on their new quest for their brand new life. It has been 3 years. But now we are going from Megxit to Frogxit and everything in between. So the big story that broke the other day was that King Charles had served an eviction notice for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Well, the news came out in March. However, they were notified in January. They were asked to vacate the property. Now, some say it came the day after Spare was released to the public on January 10th. A lot of people are saying he's being petty, he's being mean and vindictive, all the horrible things that Harry and Meghan have said about the royal family and about Camilla. Well, look, I'm all here for a petty king. I'm here for it, okay? But I do not believe it's 100% based on pettiness, on revenge. I believe King Charles and the royal family have a reason for doing this. There's many factors that go into that. But I do believe that Harry and Meghan got a wake-up call. Yeah, they got a wake-up call that, oh, be careful what you wish for, son, because you just might get your wish. Now, we know that Harry has talked about how America is his home now, and he feels very happy with his new life and his wife out in Montecito, California. Well, good, because you're going to be living there permanently, apparently, and your father just gave you your wish, son. So a lot of people are up in arms about, well, they have a lease at Frogmore Cottage. They own Frogmore Cottage, and they paid $2.4 million in repairs and restoration to the property. And how dare King Charles kick them out? Well, it was a wedding present from Her Majesty the Queen. But at the end of the day, the Crown owns the property. Okay? The Crown always wins, and it's their property. Meghan and Harry vacated the property 6 months after they got the property, and they've been gone for 3 years. They have only returned to the UK 5 times in 3 years. So what's the point of them having Frogmore Cottage when Charles and the royal family are downsizing Now, there's rumors that King Charles is this evil man and he's being petty and vindictive toward the Sussexes, and he's also evicting his brother from his home. He is not evicting his brother from the Royal Lodge. He's simply telling his brother, we cannot pay for your repairs and your upkeep. That's going to have to come out of your own wallet. Okay, moving forward, the royal family and the taxpayers are not paying $7 million in repairs for your home. That is your responsibility. You're going to have to dip into your little trust fund, your savings, but we're not paying for it. If you want to live in this 30-room mansion, you got to pay for it, period, because you're off of the royal purse strings. They are downsizing and no longer supporting these hanger-oners who are not working royals. I mean, I hate to tell you, but they can't afford to do it. So a lot of people, they're upset that he's kicking Andrew out, that Andrew has a 75-year lease on the property and he paid $1 million in rent. He's been there for 20 years since the Queen Mother had passed away, I believe in 2000, 2002. Not to mention that he does pay a little bit of rent every week, and I believe he was doing some of the upkeep, but the royal purse was paying for a lot of the staff, the upkeep. I think there's $7 million in renovations that need to be done. And Charles is simply telling him, we're cutting the money that you receive from the royal purse every year. We have to cut that down and we cannot pay for these renovations. So it is up to Andrew to decide, does he want to stay and pay for it, or can he live in another royal residence? So we know that the Queen Mother was there as a widower for like 50 years. So people are like, well, the Queen Mother lived there. Andrew should be able to live there too. Well, you're absolutely right. But at the same time, the royal family was paying for the Queen Mother to live there. They were paying for her upkeep. They were keeping her in the lifestyle of which she was accustomed to, and she was the queen. She was married to the king and she was the Queen Mother, a little bit higher up the totem pole than Prince Andrew, but it was also a different time. We're living in 2023 where things are expensive and the royal family has been cut in half. So Andrew has a choice. He can vacate the property, and I believe he will get some money back due to the lease that he paid into, and he can move to Frogmore Cottage. Now there's the question of why. Why is King Charles making Harry and Meghan move out of Frogmore Cottage? To be honest with you, I am a little shocked. I didn't think that was going to happen, but at the same time, they haven't really lived there for 3 years. They're bad-mouthing the royal family. They're causing them a lot of problems. He acts like he doesn't want to be part of the family. He doesn't want to be part of the institution. Therefore, the king is like, well, I'm going to give you your wish, son. You're free to go, and we're just going to take back the property and give it to someone who wants to be here, wants to be a part of the family. It kind of makes financial sense since the Royal Lodge might be vacated from Andrew and Fergie. He needs a place to go. Now, it is rumored that Andrew was offered Frogmore Cottage, but that he is resisting because we all know Prince Andrew loves to live in luxury. Talk about the original pampered prince. That is Prince Andrew. It's his home. He has a right to stay there. We shouldn't be forcing him to leave, but now he has a possibility of an alternative place to go. Now, Harry and Meghan, of course, have come out with stories with Omid Scooby-Doo saying that Frogmore Cottage was the only safe place that they had in the UK that was secure. Well, you've been there 5 times in 3 years, Harry, and you've only been there for state events that had massive security. You were there for Prince Philip's funeral. You were there for the statue unveiling of Princess Diana, the Platinum Jubilee, a quick stopover visit, and Her Majesty's funeral. 5 times where security was there. It was super high because anytime the other royals are at an event, there's always going to be security. So Harry has been safe every single time he has returned to the UK. He doesn't need to keep Frogmore Cottage to be safe. There are apartments at Windsor Castle. There are guest bedrooms at Kensington, at Clarence House. There are plenty of places that him and his wife could stay for a short stopover visit. So this whole argument about Omid Scooby-Doo saying he's a victim once again and his father's being horrible and cruel and punishing him, well, first of all, what the hell do you expect? What the hell do you expect them just to keep taking it and letting you just run amok and do whatever the hell you want? So in my opinion, this is the way of the royal family saying, checkmate, we're calling your bluff. You don't want to be part of the royals. You hate us. You think we're evil. We're racist. Well, then you don't need to be here, son. And I, for one, am here for it. What the queen giveth, the king taketh away. I like the fact that the family's saying, you know what? Fine, you're going to write about us in your little bookie book. That's fine, but you're sure as hell ain't going to be living here. You're not going to have a royal residence here. And here's another thing. It's going to affect his taxes and his residency in the UK. Not to mention, I believe it's going to F up his court case with the Home Office because he doesn't have a royal residence or a residence in the UK anymore. Every time he's come over here, it's been for a state event where there was security. He has the ability to stay in royal residences like Windsor Castle. So what does he really need extra security for? Nothing. So basically, I believe both of his lawsuits that he had are going to be thrown out of court, and I think this is the greatest check move the royal family has ever done. Now, people have said it's for revenge. I don't believe it is for revenge. I believe it just makes sense, but it is a way to kind of, you know, solve a little bit of a nuisance problem. Right? Because let's be honest here, Harry and Meghan are royal nuisances and they're dangerous to the royal family. They make all of these threatening demands against the king and the royal family. And I think it's great that they're saying, I don't think so. Nah, it's not going to happen. We're not going to give you a public apology. We're not going to give you a private apology. We're not even sure we're going to invite you. And now we're taking back the house. Good riddance. And I think it's going to have more implications. Him being a counselor of the state could be in question because I believe you have to have a residence in the UK. So this could affect him being a counselor of the state. There's talk that Parliament is still moving forward to remove the Duke and Duchess title from Harry and Meghan. So in my opinion, it was a big checkmate and a big F you and a big you're messing with the wrong person, son. And be careful what you wish for because you just might get your wish. Now, I think this is a huge reality check for Harry and Meghan because they certainly did not think Big Daddy was going to pull this card. Now, there's a huge question in regards to the lease that Harry and Meghan had with Frogmore Cottage. It is not known the exact number or length or amount of money that they paid in rent or how long they were leasing it. I think they were releasing it every 1 or 2 years. However, maybe at this time, Harry and Meghan could have also said they don't want to renew the lease because let's be honest, do they really have the money to keep up the 2 residences and the upkeep and repair on this property that they never go to? It could be a fun way to say, oh, we were kicked out, when in reality, they may not have renewed the lease. We don't know, guys. We don't know what's happening. Also, I do find it very, very strange that Princess Eugenie and her husband moved out months ago. So it might have been known through the royal family that this was going to happen. That they're just now coming out with the news, but why did they move out? They moved out months ago. They didn't need to vacate because they were living half the year in Portugal, half the year in the UK. But again, remember, they moved out. I think this has been in the works for months, and it's just now being made public. And of course, Harry and Meghan are playing up the victim card. Once again, they want people to feel sorry for them, but I kind of suspect that maybe they wanted out of Frogmore because they don't have any plans to go back to the UK. He wrote a book where he's literally destroying his relationship with his family, and now he wants to play the victim card. But maybe on the other hand, maybe they didn't want to renew the lease. Maybe they couldn't afford it. And this is a way to make them look good, right? To play the victim. Oh, my daddy's kicking me out. We don't know. I think it could be a mix of the two. And they're just playing it up for public sympathy. So let's remember here, you know, Harry and Meghan have had some really bad press with South Park and bad reaction to his book and the series. So now he's trying to play to the public sympathy. Like, oh my God, look what the family's doing to us. They're kicking us once again. Meanwhile, he's been attacking them for 3 years. But they want to play up the victim card with Omid Scobie saying they don't have a safe place to go. They never go there, and when they go there, it's for state events anyway. It doesn't make any sense to keep the property. Now, people are questioning, will they get repaid the money that they paid back the taxpayers? I think it was like $2.4 million when they did renovations on Frogmore. Now, I personally believe that Daddy Charles wrote that check and kind of paid it off for them, because remember, this is back in 2020. They'd only lived there for 6 months, and then they vacated, and there was a lot of scandal. People were pissed off that the taxpayers had footed the bill for Megxit to have heated floors and a gym and a yoga room and all this crap, and then she just leaves the property. So I believe Daddy Charles is the one who paid the bill but told people it was Harry and Meghan. Remember, they just released their stuff for Netflix this year, 3 years later. So them writing a check for $2.5 million, I highly doubt that they had that liquid money available to pay it back. Do you really think Harry and Meghan would actually use their own money to pay for that? I highly doubt it. These are people who use other people's jets, who fly around in their houses. Like I told you before, rich people don't like to use their own money, and Harry was kind of cash poor. There was a story that came out that Meghan was really upset that when she married Harry, she thought she was going to be super, super rich. But as I've mentioned before, rich people, their money is tied up in trust funds. It's tied up in properties and artwork. They don't always have millions upon millions of dollars in the bank available, especially with a title and a royal family. Everything is counted for. And Harry's money was tied up in his inheritance, collecting interest and his investments. So him taking out $2.5 million from his trust fund to pay for a house he's not going to be in for 3 years, I really think that Charles paid it off. That's my opinion, because he wanted to help his son, because this was all before, you know, the Oprah Winfrey interview. This was before the book. This was when they were barely leaving. And I honestly believe the royal family thought they might be coming back, because remember, it was a whole year of review. Nobody really knew what was happening at that time. People were confused. It was the very beginning of Megxit. So I think Charles paid it off, in my opinion. So there is an opportunity for them to possibly get that money back, and that is part of their lease agreement. So they could be paid back for any repairs, any rent that they covered, and if the lease was broken, then ultimately I believe the palace would pay them back. I do not believe they're going to try to stiff them or steal from them like people are saying. But I love the fact that Harry and Meghan, who haven't been seen for months, all of a sudden show up at that restaurant in LA looking like a happy, happy, lovey-lovey couple hired by Batgrid. They're paparazzi on speed dial, the paparazzi for hire. Every single time they're photographed, it's Batgrid. It's hilarious to me how they're always trying to show people how happy and how in love they are. Everything is very orchestrated with them. They've known since January that this was happening. They might have even known a couple months before, but all of a sudden the story breaks and boom, here's Meghan, the positive puff piece about the coffee and being the Julia Roberts superhero, America's sweetheart for women entrepreneurs, and then boom, here's a date night with Harry and Meghan showing how happy and in love they are. Let's not forget, Harry is appearing on his pay-per-view event where you can save a prince for $33, guys, on his talk that is happening on Saturday, talking about his horrible trauma of his privileged childhood. And he's also releasing a paperback version of his book. People are suspecting there's going to be some extra chapters, extra juice and gossip, mudslinging at the royal family, and they think it could be released around the time of the coronation. So again, Harry, you reap what you sow. You and your wife have really put this upon yourself. Now, there's another story that has come out saying that this is just distraction, that King Charles has made a huge mistake, that he was seen meeting with Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commissioner President, that this is a big mistake. What people are not realizing is that royalty always meets with heads of state, with politicians. It's a normal thing. Queen Elizabeth has met with her in the past. He met her at Windsor Castle along with Rishi Sunak, where they were announcing the new Brexit framework for Northern Ireland. Now, this is something that has been at a stalemate for many months. It has left the country in limbo. It's a big political thing, but people are like, the king is not supposed to be in politics. Why is he meeting with her? Again, as the king, they host people, they meet people. It is a normal thing to do. I don't know why people are making such a big deal about it. He is not speaking out. He's not getting involved in politics. He is simply greeting her and meeting her at Windsor Castle. So that is all the royal news that I have for you guys today. What do you guys think of the whole Megxit 3-year anniversary from Megxit to Frogxit? What do you think about King Charles serving an eviction notice for Harry and Meghan? Do you think that Prince Andrew is going to move from the Royal Lodge over to Frogmore Cottage? What do you think about Harry and Meghan hitting back in the press and playing the victim card once again? And what do you think about King Charles meeting with Ursula von der Leyen at Windsor Castle? Leave me your comments, guys, down below. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you. And I am working on the second episode of Karina and the King. I hope to have it out by Sunday. But thank you guys so much for stopping by my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.